You ever say something in the heat of the moment and, instantly wish you could just snatch the words right back out of the air? That flash of anger, that knee-jerk reply? Yeah, we've all been there. Well, what if the tool to prevent that isn't some complicated psychological trick, but something so simple it's almost invisible? A strategic pause. A single moment of silence that can, and I mean this, change absolutely everything.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start in the super high-stakes world of negotiation and see how silence is actually used as a weapon. Then we'll get into the science of what's really happening inside your brain during that pause. From there, we'll zoom way out to look at a timeless philosophy about freedom and choice, and then we'll bring it right back home with some practical, everyday tools you can start using, like today.
All right, picture a tense boardroom negotiation. The air is thick. You'd think the most powerful person in that room is the one doing all the talking, right? But so often, it's actually the one who knows when to just be quiet. Let's dig into why what isn't said can be the most persuasive thing of all.
So, a lot of this comes back to a famous communication model from a researcher named Albert Mehrabian. And what he found is pretty mind-blowing. When we're communicating feelings and attitudes, a massive 55% of the meaning comes from body language. 38% is your tone of voice, and only a tiny 7% is from the actual words you use. This is huge because it shows that what we don't say, our posture, our expression, even a deliberate, confident silence, can literally speak louder than our words. But, silence is a double-edged sword. When you use it well, it's an incredible advantage. It creates this psychological pressure that can make the other person talk more, maybe revealing things they didn't mean to. It also gives you a second to actually listen and process what's happening. But if you use it poorly, it can totally backfire. You might just come off as passive-aggressive, or your silence could be seen as disagreement, which can damage trust and make everyone in the room incredibly uncomfortable. It's a power tool for sure, and it really requires some skill. Okay, so we've seen how silence can be a powerful tool. Now let's get into the why. Why is it so effective? What is actually going on in our brains during that quiet moment that helps us make better, smarter decisions? This is where the science gets really, really cool. We all kind of believe this, right? That the more time you spend wrestling with a problem, the better your solution is going to be. But is that actually true? Does thinking about something forever and ever guarantee a better outcome? Well, it turns out the science on this has a surprisingly nuanced answer. So on one side, you've got the classic idea, the speed-accuracy trade-off. Basically, it says that fast answers are usually sloppier, and taking more time helps you get more accurate. Simple enough. But there's a newer, more realistic view called resource rationality. And this idea accepts that our brains have limited horsepower. Thinking isn't free, it actually costs us mental energy. And after a certain point, the cost of thinking more, like getting frustrated or just plain tired, starts to outweigh the benefit of getting a slightly more accurate answer. And this shows the benefit side of that perfectly. In one experiment, people had to make some simple judgments. Now look at this. The group with no pause, zero delay, got it right about 67% of the time. But just by forcing them to wait for 1 second before answering, their accuracy jumped all the way to 75%. That is a massive improvement for just a tiny moment of reflection. The longer pause, at 2.5 seconds, barely nudged the needle. And now, here's the cost. The researchers also measured how irritated people felt while waiting. That 1 second pause? Totally fine. But that extra unnecessary time in the 2.5-second pause, it made people way more annoyed. And this is the key takeaway. There's a sweet spot. A short pause gives you almost all of the accuracy benefit with hardly any of the cognitive cost. Thinking longer isn't always better. Sometimes it just makes you cranky. Okay, so we've hit the tactics and we've hit the science. But what's really amazing is that all this modern research is basically just confirming a piece of wisdom that philosophers have been talking about for thousands of years. We're going to zoom out now, from the lab, to look at the pause as the very source of our freedom. I mean, this quote is just so profound. It nails the whole idea. Life is constantly throwing things at us, right? That's the stimulus. And our default is to just react instantly. But this idea suggests that our real power, our growth, our actual freedom, it's not in what happens to us. It's in carving out that little pocket of time, that space before we respond. That is where we take back control.
And you know who gave us a fantastic mental model for how to use that space? The ancient Stoic philosophers. It's called the Dichotomy of Control, and the philosopher Epictetus laid it out perfectly. The idea is brilliant and simple. You divide everything you encounter into one of two buckets. Either it's something I can control, or it's something I can't. And the goal is to pour all your energy into that first bucket and learn to accept what's in the second.
So let's make this super concrete. What's in your control? Your judgment about what just happened.
your immediate impulse to get angry or defensive, what you choose to do next. And what's outside your control? Well, what other people think of you, whether or not you get sick, the final outcome of your hard work, because there's always a little bit of luck involved. When you focus only on your own actions and judgments inside that space, you free yourself from all the anxiety of trying to control the uncontrollable.
All right, so we've gone from the negotiation table, through the human brain, and all the way back to ancient philosophy. Now we get to the most important part. How do we actually do this stuff? How do we build that space into our chaotic, fast-paced lives? Let's get into some simple, practical techniques you can use the second this is over.
Okay, here is an awesome, easy-to-remember tool. It's the STOP acronym. The next time you feel that rush of reactivity coming on, just picture a big red stop sign. S, literally just stop what you're doing. Freeze. T, take one deep, conscious breath. This isn't some big meditation thing. It's just a physical reset button. O, observe what's going on inside. Okay, I'm feeling angry. My face feels hot. I'm thinking this isn't fair. Just notice it, no judgment. And finally, P, proceed. But now you're proceeding with awareness, not just running on autopilot. You're responding, not reacting.
Here's another tool, and this one's a little more advanced, but it's perfect for when you're dealing with other people. It's called Socratic questioning. The idea is, instead of meeting a statement with another statement, you create space by asking a question. And this does two absolutely brilliant things. First, it forces the other person to think about their own position, and second, it gives you time to think, which puts you in a position of calm control.
So let's look at a classic, totally relatable example. Let's say your partner is upset because you're home late. The reactive response, the one we all jump to, is defense. I wasn't. Traffic was bad. I swear. Which just leads to a fight. But the Socratic response creates a pause. You ask, is it that I'm late that really bothers you, or is it that you feel like you can't trust me? That one question completely changes the game, from a fight about facts to a real conversation about feelings.
And this isn't just for personal arguments. It works in any kind of debate. Instead of making a big statement that someone can just shoot down, like, animals aren't meant to be in captivity, you frame your viewpoint as a question. Do you think animals were meant to be in captivity? This forces the other person to actually engage with your perspective, on your terms. It invites them to consider the answer, which is way more powerful than just shouting an opinion at them.
So, when you bring it all together, the big idea is this. The pause is pure potential. It's a negotiation tactic, it's a scientifically proven accuracy booster, and it's a philosophical gateway to your own freedom. It's not empty time, it's the space where you get to decide who you're going to be in the very next moment. And with simple tools like STOP and a few smart questions, you can start creating that powerful space today.
And really, that's the question to take with you. That space, it exists for every single one of us in every single interaction, every single day. It's there. So the only real question is, how are you going to use it?